Lori Duggan.
Yeah, everybody's here now. Look at this. All right.
I'll be goddamn.
What'd you say, Bass?
I don't know.
You want to hear me? I said, goddamn.
Damn, Basil, you can't talk like that on the air, son. What's wrong with you? Man, how's that wooden leg of yours?
That's fine.
Just like mine, right, Baz?
Hey!
Baz, what do you keep in your wooden leg? Is it true what Martha says?
A bottle of bourbon.
Okay. Wow.
Look,
Yeah.
look,
Divya's got her to watch out. See my cousin Divya? She's got an animal too. Show her your lion. There you go.
I want that animal. Martha's a real animal too. She's a Southern
Hey,
Belle.
there's Andre Blatnick, for God's sakes.
Original Southern Belle, Martha Winston King. That she's so hot that they had
Bob
to give
Bowman
her
looks like,
smoking
boy,
name.
he looks regal.
Herman of Heman.
Winston. She's a smoking belle. Woohoo!
It's not even
There's
two
Bonnie.
We have 30.
Andre. Who's Roger? My God, it's Rogers from the Czech Republic.
Holy shit. Oops.
It's a local Zoom event.
And there's Bonnie F.
By the time I read, I've used up everything. I got nothing to say.
What a sailor. I'm sure
Oh,
you'll
that's fantastic. Oh, there's Mallory.
Not everybody's picture shows
Mike
up.
DiCaprio.
Mallory from Scotland, a different Mallory, yes.
Our daughter.
Our daughter Mallory.
And Willens. Joan Willens.
Well,
Alan Brown.
Andre.
Nellie.
Wow, I'll be darned. That's
I have
fantastic.
to pay Andre to watch nowadays. You want Andre to watch, I have to pay him.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I didn't pay much, Buzz.
We've got 35 participants already. Just check, Sanjay always counts the house, but this is a pretty weird house.
Yes.
Is it time for us to start?
It's nice to see so many of our friends on the line and people from all over.
Oh, there's Veet.
Join us for
Kim.
this special reading, really.
Really. Really legendary.
Jeff, you got to get a local knowledge puppet mascot. That's what you got to.
Okay, I'll work on
That's
that.
what you got to work on.
It's been a great series, and this is Baz and Martha have been with. You've worked with them. I published them since the beginning of this. Way before this has been 5 years now, and they've both appeared, and it's been a great series. And this, is
Jeff.
legendary.
It's been. I mean, it's been a team effort.
Yeah,
the two of us.
They were handed the 11th tablet of poetry and art that Moses gave Baz and Martha. It was at Black Mountain. They've been with us a while. We're so lucky.
Well, that part's true. We're in our 80s.
There you go.
Yay! My new book.
And this book is such a fun read. It is so fast and furious and wicked. You're having lunch in the Stanford, and then you're finding murder victims. It's amazing. It's a really great read. Congratulations. Brand new.
Thank you.
I'm sure we'll mention
Max
it.
Turns Yellow. Spite and Dival.
The follow-up to Max Sees Red.
Correct. And I'm working on a third one now.
It's going to be green?
Yeah, he might be blue.
Oh.
Oh.
We'll give it
Hey,
more
I
minutes.
see that bourbon. Oh, that was Jim Beam I saw there for a minute.
You did not.
I just have bad memories of Jim Beam, man. It's like Southern Comfort,
No, all that sugar?
Miles Restorative Nervine.
Kimberly
look at
says,
knob. Andre's got the knob.
Kimberly says, I love Maxie's. What does she say?
So guys, everybody that you can chat with each other
Yeah.
or to the group. And also at the end, we'll open it up a little bit, and we would like, put on your thinking caps and think up something to, mention, comment.
Oh, it's Ron. That's who it is.
Ron Coleman.
talk about the work
That's Mitch.
today a little bit, and then we'll make a couple of announcements. If you have an announcement, put it in the chat, you know.
Oh,
Yeah.
Boyd. There's Boyd.
Is
Yeah.
boy,
That's
is
have
Bonnie.
Yeah, Lee.
Hey,
any,
Bonnie, how's your foot? It's still attached. Oh, better.
Nice socks. Just don't let a house fall on you when you're wearing those socks. It'd be
I think we'll
bad.
start in a couple of
Oh,
minutes.
boy.
It's 2:03. We'll start at 2:05 since we have so many people.
You know, it's been a hell of a week, you know. But these guys need a new flag. What they need is a big sewer on their flag.
Oh dear.
Ridiculous.
It won't help.
Look what's happened to Alan. He has a huge beard. That's Alan Bramsman.
Oh my God.
Yes.
He looks like a Jew.
Are you kidding me?
You guys are bad.
You're bad, Basil.
Top. It's like ZZ Top there. It's my brother always gets that.
Laura Canelli. Oh my God. Christopher. And there's Ed. This is
Well,
truly international, you know.
While we have a couple of minutes, I do want to make mention that finally I received the shipment, all the copies of the new issue of Local Knowledge magazine.
Yay!
Yay.
This has been really a long haul because of, just everything that goes into, this was a big issue too. This is about 186 pages. And
Martha's in it.
Don't be
Yes.
shy. Bye.
And we are in the process of putting it up on our website. So in the next couple of weeks, it should be available. We'll be having some online events that we'll be doing around that. Jeff and I will be doing some of those. We'll be hosting some interviews. We'll be doing a party of some sort online of just getting people together in the magazine. So
Drink stink
anybody
and
who
that
is
kind
a
of party.
contributor to the magazine will be receiving it soon, but we're just waiting just a bit longer before we do sort of like a more formal release for it. But it's a good way for us to kick off 2021. So we're really excited to finally have it out. I mean, it's a really beautiful issue. There's a whole a portfolio of Steve Dalachinsky. Here's a beautiful portrait of him with his work, with an introduction, a beautiful introduction by Yuko. And just, there's a whole Jonas Makis portfolio in here. It really came together. So thanks everybody for their patience, who's in the magazine. And we're very excited to be getting it out. So we'll be sending the contributor copies out soon.
Hey, guess what? I found, can you read my hat? Look what I found.
How brewing.
How, right? Out of
Oh
Vancouver.
yeah.
I'm all
Oh,
housed
how.
up.
You got it on your shirt too.
Yeah,
So-
special occasion. I'm going for it.
So, I think we're going to do, it's 2:06. We have nearly 50 people on the line. So I think we're going to get started. And I want to thank everybody for joining us today for this online reading series that we've been doing now since April. Jeff, I think that was the first one we did. So we have a nice series going. And I really do want to thank you all. We're going to continue the online series until we can get back to Manhattan, and hopefully we can get back to the Park side and continue there the second Sunday of every month at 2 p.m. rather than online. But until then, this is what we're going to be doing. And we got to really, this is a special event for me because my good friends Basil King and Martha King are reading and presenting today. And it's special too, in that Basil is going to be talking about some of his paintings. We have a slideshow to present this time. And, we're looking forward to looking at Basil's work. And many of you, of course, know Basil and Martha, but for those of you who don't, I'm just going to read very short bios that they provided. And Jeff can jump in after this and say he's also known Basil and Martha for many years. But Basil King was born in London before World War II. He's been painting for over 7 decades and writing since 1985. He does both in Brooklyn, where he has lived since 1969. For his latest books, go to Marshhawk Press and Talisman. websites. And there's a link that was provided in the bio I provided in Facebook for a link of images too, which we'll be showing today and Basil will be discussing. Martha King, born in Virginia, met Basil King through friends at Black Mountain College. She's published a memoir, Outside Inside, a great memoir of their life together, as well as short stories, poetry, and 2 recent whodunits, Max Sees Red and Max Turns Yellow, in her ongoing series. And her books can, for her books, go to Blaze Vox and Spoon Duville websites. So those are the bios that they gave us. But this is, as I said, this is very special to have Martha and Basil, good friends of mine. And
Yeah, we never see them together.
yeah, all the time.
I knew you would jump in.
Very good.
So Jeff, do you have anything else that you want to add before Basil's learning?
Basil has, he's a really unique in the sense that he's got both a distinguished art career and a look, a special style. He's got the Green Man. He's got so many things going. Plus, he writes all this wonderful stuff. So he's a really kind of in-between figure that's not all that common. And we're lucky that, you know, he's this link to the ABEX people. I mean, one night he single-handedly cleaned out the Cedar Bar, I think, because everybody was carrying him out. No. And, but you know, it's true. There is that great link, and he writes about those things. And so does Martha too. And we'll talk about that some more, but Warp Spasms is one of my favorite books of all time. And what a title too, you know, he's spasming my warp right now. Woof.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah. And you know, how we're going to do it is Martha's just going to say a few words, and then Basil's going to give his presentation and reading, and then Martha will conclude with a reading of her own. So Martha.
Okay. Well, I should be on the speaker view, shouldn't I? Instead of a little tiny picture.
Yeah, but I mean, if you go into view, if you go to speaker view, it changes that.
Oh,
So,
okay. Speaker view.
but I wouldn't, it's fine. People can determine how they want to view it as a grid or as
That's
a
even better.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Well,
better.
listen, I want to welcome everybody who's here and who may be coming in later. But I'm really, one bad thing about Zoom is that you're not in a room with people. And one great thing about Zoom is we have people from Australia and Czech Republic and Maine and California all online right now, which could never happen at the Parkside Inn. So there's something to be said for it. We were hoping to do this from Basil's studio, which is one flight up, but it's a rather narrow room, and it's so full of stuff, paintings, drawings, cabinets, flat files. Somehow the Wi-Fi there was terrible. So after we tried it a couple of times, we realized, no, we've got to do it from down here. We did bring some paintings of Basil's downstairs, and they're behind him. He'll show you them when he's finished his spiel, but also there's a slideshow, so that's a very easy way to see them. And I want to thank you particularly, Sanjay, for being the leading spirit of local knowledge and publishing work Mike several times, and Jeff for being Jeff and working with him and inviting us. It's a real pleasure to be here, and I'll shut up right now and let Basil talk.
Open it up, Sanjay. Okay, this is a painting called Inside Outside, and I did it after Martha did her memoir. It's on canvas, it's mixed media, and it's part of the series that I call My 4th Street. And I did this in 2018, and it's 42 by 60. It's a decent sized painting. And unfortunately, not all the colors seem to come through, but you get a picture of it. You do get a sense of it. And everything you're going to see from now on they're all in mixed media. And and the next group of work is The Green Man Comes to 4th Street, and that's all on paper. And here's the introduction to it, so to speak. It'll be the cover if ever it gets published or gets a show. And I did this in 2019. I did 50 of them. For me, I had like 50 different personalities. Me having 7 of them, I had to invent the rest. But anyway,
Uh-oh.
Basil froze.
Uh-oh.
Huh.
The
Well,
green man is taking him. One of his personalities is like, come in
we'll
there.
give it a second because, part of the reason why they moved down into the kitchen was because their Wi-Fi wasn't as strong up there in the studio. And we tested it yesterday in the kitchen and it was working fine.
Oh.
So we'll have to wait to see if they can come back on. I see they're off and maybe they'll come back on.
Oh, you can see they got kicked right off the whole.
Yeah. So we'll just give it a
I've got a
minute.
little thing that comes up and says Martha King follow. Does anybody else see that?
Yeah, that's part of this. They gave me the slideshow on a through Flickr, which is
Oh.
a photo sharing account.
Uh-huh.
So they should be coming back on. I would imagine Martha will be re-clicking on the link back on. So hopefully,
Well, why is there things stuck there?
it's not stuck. I can move it. I can go through this slideshow. I'm controlling it.
Oh.
So
Well, that's an idea. Let's go through it and then see
well,
what-
let's just give it another let's give it another minute. I don't want to speak to Basil's stuff without him on the line. So I think it's probably better. But everything's working on our end, so I'm hoping they can come back on.
Yeah. Here, I'll
This
curse
is-
a little bit. Pretend Baz is here.
This is this is the kind of stuff that doesn't happen at Parkside, I mean, you might have other issues going on, but let's see if they can come back on. You know what? I appreciate and thank you for your patience. Let me just see what's going on with them. I'm going to mute myself.
Okay, man. Meanwhile,
Jeff is going to
these
talk.
two characters, one was named Mo and one was named Al, and they decided to take over part of Africa. And that's how we got Morocco and Algeria right beside each other. And next they're going to go to the capital. Have some Moroccan in the capital. That was so unbelievable. I can't believe it. Everybody knew it was going to happen. I knew it the first time I heard about it. I was like, oh shit, I hope they don't take over the capital. It's like, oh, what a plan. What a plan. Man, oh man. But they desecrated all those beautiful flags. Every flag they carried will never be worth anything anymore. But that's not really fair. Look, Kimberly's saying something about reconnecting here. The heat of the moment. Damn, and I know they practice, you guys practice on this stuff. Well, you know what? In the meantime, you know what I'll do? I'll read a random sample here. Get rich, be rich. Get rich, be rich. Liberty, show me your breast. Show me justice. Show me, quote.
Okay. And Basil, is he unmuted also?
Oh, here we
Well, we're
go.
both on the same thing, aren't we? Okay.
We're back.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
There's the green
All
man.
right.
Wait, let
Jeff,
me.
thanks for holding.
Thank you for the help.
Okie dokie.
All right, hold on. So now, Basil, we're here. You guys froze up before, so that was the problem. So it should be okay
We
now.
won't touch anything except talk.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the Green Man, and the Green Man, excuse me, is a mythological figure that you can see throughout Scandinavia, England, Wales, Scotland, and all of Europe. He's a forest character, and he's good and he's bad. He can do anything in mythology. He can do just about anything you want. And when I was in Swansea, Wales, I saw some of the most incredible carvings of him that had been done on, bark that had been then, well, anyway, manipulated so that they could work it. But in England, you go around and you see it on the castles and the churches, all over the sides of buildings. The Green Man, and he's very important to me. And the next one, please. This is the cover of Light Abstracts the Smallest Thing, the Aesthetic of Basil King, Essays on King's Art and Poetry, edited by
If
Bert
you want them to
Kimmelman.
see it, put it under your chin. Put it under your chin.
Well,
This
how
way.
can they see it?
Like that, because they'll see you.
Oh, here it is. Here it is, folks. Here it is. Here it is. It's Talisman House, and Ed Foster published it, and Bert worked his tail off putting this together.
Bert Kimmelman.
Bert baby. Anyway,
Bert's in the crowd, I think.
yes, he is.
So
Yes,
is
he is.
Ed. So is Ed.
Yeah, and I saw Ed. I saw Bert. Next one, please. This is another Green Man. As I said, I did 50 of them in 2019. And next. Okay. Some of you know, I started out as an abstract expressionist. I studied it and then I practiced it, what amounted to around 14 years. And sometime in the 60s, I decided I was not going to be a third generation abstractionist. And I was totally defeated. I didn't know what the hell to do. And pop art, quite frankly, and minimal, well, they did not excite me. And I spent 2 years until I began to, God, I think I've told this story a few times, but I'm going to tell it again. I just one day bought 500 sheets of cheap paper, and I sat there drawing circles and circles and circles and circles until I finally put a leaf on it, and then I did some more leaves, and I realized I'd done a sunflower. And sunflowers mean an awful lot to me because when I was in boarding school, between 7 and 8.5 years old, I had a plot of land and I could grow anything I wanted. And I grew huge sunflowers. Anyway, so all of a sudden I knew I could begin with something. And then I went into organic shapes for quite a while until then I began to discover a face, a body, and then I began to paint the figure. And I did that till only about 3 years ago, 2 years ago, when I started doing, actually, the end of it was the Green Man. And now this is Black 1 on board. And it's 30 by 40, 24 inches. And what it is all mixed media again, all mixed media, And I have these wonderful, wonderful library chalks and molding paste that I can combine with sometimes with charcoal, sometimes with a little paint. But anyway, I work it around with my fingers and I have a great time. Next one, please. This is Black 9. It's 24 by 30. And again, it's the same material. And I hope that what it gives is somebody a kind of meditative, that they can meditate with the thing. You can look at it. It will change. It will move. It will be quiet. It will talk. It does things. And they're very, very successful, I think. Next one, please. This is Black 7. Same material. And sometimes I do these things in one whole sitting. I mean, it's a day. And sometimes it takes 2 or 3 sittings, like different days. But also I have to think about it in terms of that because I write so much. And I get sometimes into a goddamn tizzy because I want to write and I want to paint. And, and I have to decide, okay, today I'm going to write, tomorrow I'll paint, or such. But it works out. But I sometimes just sit and get very confused what to do. And you can ask Martha, I get into a pain in the ass. Anyway, next one, please.
We didn't freeze again, did we? Oh,
No,
goodness.
there it is. And this is Black Opal Interim. And it was just before I started the Black series, the
Honey,
Opal series. And so I did it. I did a like an interim inside of it. And this one is 24 by 36 inches. This is the largest size I worked on for these things. Another thing that I got really involved with from the time I was at Black Mountain, I found a book in the library on all these miniatures across like China, Japanese, Indian, etc., etc. And I was totally fascinated with them. And I came up from the steps from the library to the studies building, and in front of the studies building there was a big mold, like a little hill, mound, hole, a hill, almost a little hill that had been all the material that had been dug out to put the coal into the coal bin had then become, it had grass on it, people sat on it, and Charles was sitting on it. And I came up and I told him about this, and he said, "Good God, boy, you found something. You've really found something. If you stick with it, it'll never leave you because it's got to do with everybody's culture. It's the best thing. A great culture has great miniatures." And I've been working with that ever since. Next one, please. Where am I now? Black.
Black Opal,
This is Black Opal number 7. It's on board. This place, the Scholastic, what do they call it? Scholastic Art something or other. They
Art supply store
art
around the
supply. It's
corner.
an art supply store, and they do the original kind of board that they painted in the Renaissance. They prepare it that way, and all you have to do is put a little sizing on it, and you can work on it. And it's hard, and it's wonderful to work on with the palette knife, with the knife, etc. And this is Black Opal
7.
Black Opal 7.
The next one will be
The-
next number 1
yes.
for some reason.
And next one, please. And this is Black Opal number 1. Now, what you can't see is around the black is incredible amounts of color, yellows and reds and blues and everything. I had been building it up and building it up, and to my utter surprise, when I took the knife and just scraped a little off, all this came out, and it's really quite mesmerizing. And that's Black Opal number 1. Next one, please. This is Oblong number 1. I did a series of oblongs. I did 10 opals, 10 blacks, and 7 oblongs. This is number 1, and it's again 24 by 30. It's on canvas. It's black and white. It's just kind of my homage to Franz Klein, who was kind of a mentor to me and a friend. And his work always has meant a great, great deal to me. And when I was a boy in England, there was a cartoonist by the name of David Lowe from Australia, and he did these wonderful black and white cartoons. There was nothing there, nothing, no line, just black and white. And it was very interesting because I asked Franz if he knew him, and he said, "Yeah, he's crazy, he's great," And anyway, this is Oblong number 1. And if we have the next one, please. This is Oblong 2. It's 24 by 30. Again, it's on canvas. This went through quite a few different stages until I got those yellow lines, believe it or not, and then I knew what to do in the center. Next one, please. This is the Oblong 4. Same size, 24 by 30 on canvas. Now here, all that center has been scratched out with a very sharp knife that electricians use on the telegraph wires, and I could just scrape and scrape and scrape and get everything I want to get out of it in there. And again, there you'll see the triangle, which is like the top of our house has that triangle, and again, it comes from 4th Street.
Next, yeah.
Okay,
Circle.
this is Circle 1. It's on 2 different boards, 18 by 24, brought together and painted with the same materials. Okay, Let's have the next one, please. This is circle 2 on 18 by 24 board. And this is circle 4 on board. And if you can go into it, you'll see all the different things being built up and then taken away and brought back and put in and taken away, taken in until boom, you stop. And that's it, folks.
Fantastic.
Now there's some more paintings behind me, but I'm going to show those after I've read.
Give me that, okay. I'll take it.
Take it. Now, this is 77 beasts.
Put it under your chin, yeah.
Where?
Well, there you're there.
Oh, now I'm there.
Well,
Anyway, 77 beasts. This was the first one. And it's all paint on 77 different painters. The second one is this one, which I'm going to read from, is Disparate Beasts, and it's part 2 of an ongoing bestiary. And I'm going to read the introduction and then just 4 or 5 short poems. As I have written before, I was in a carpenter's shop, and the floor was strewn with shavings. The shavings were the remains of paintings and drawings from the past. In the dream, I picked up handfuls of shavings with works from the cave to this present. They were the remains of paintings that were unfinished from different periods. I held them in my hand, and I slowly, while working, I began to know what to do to put disparate things together. Pause. We paint from memory, but experience, not memory, gives us background. The sum of one's experience made conspicuous brings disparate things together. Pause. Having said this, I have to say, before I introduce you to Disparate Beasts number 2, Basil King's bestiary, I shudder when I think about the fight over Roe versus Wade and when I read that there are states in this country that have voted to suppress a woman's right to have a legal abortion. Do the people who vote for voted?
who voted
Vote
for draconian controls?
of what a woman can do for herself. No, by doing this, they have restricted their own happiness, because control applies to everyone. No one in the end goes free. The leading question for me in the next election is going to be pro or anti-abortion, and its outcome will tell us what kind of country we'll live in for the next at least 4 more years. Freedom of choice is never perfect, but think of the consequences. Think of what a totalitarian state does to the soul. Pause. I've heard from some of my contemporaries that all they want to do is work, or sometimes I have felt the same way. Is it age? Are we afraid? I know that I am. I know that I paint and write to contribute to things that I am for, not against. I find in other painters' work the opportunity to channel and see if there is something that they do that I can use to enhance my own work. And it is the telling of what I find that makes this second bestiary. And the poems: Alice Neal, Naked, 1900-1984. Alice Neal painted herself naked, sitting in a blue and white striped armchair when she was 80 years old. She holds a paintbrush in her right hand and a rag in her left hand. All the photographs of her painting show her painting with her left hand. She was a southpaw. Alice Neal was contemptuous, and she broke with the insinuation that women are helpless. She observed and channeled her sitters, and her arm became her brush. She manipulated her strokes so that the paint would emphasize her sitter's soul. Uptown, downtown, black, white, pregnant women, mothers and child, young men, old women, old men. young women unsure of what to do with their legs. She was what communism and socialism espouse but are yet to deliver. We should recognize that everyone's life is brutal. Frederick Law Olmsted, 1822-1903, for Ed Foster. Frederick Law Olmsted, America's greatest impressionist, did in his parks what Claude Monet did in his imagination. There are no right or oblique angles in Olmsted's parks. There are public spaces where every curved path serves memory. Pause. Before Monet and Renoir shared a studio, before Picasso moved to Paris, and long after Giorgione and Titian painted Pastorale, that magnificent painting was painted by two men who were incapable of having an impression. It was the 16th century, and they were Venetians, and the Venetians were literate in their politics. Literal in their politics, religion, and art. Nicolas Poussin, 1594-1665. Nicolas Poussin said, "I thought of everything." When the parachute hits the ground, you are Adonis, and you speak to young Bacchus, who is nurtured by Venus. O great teacher, a lascivious satyr pulls back the covers, and the nymph is in heat. All of Poussin's nymphs are beautiful. Did he know these lovely ladies, or they were wishful thinking, his imagination, his creation? Poussin contracted syphilis in an early age, but that's too simple an explanation for the buttocks rounding thighs that the legs open. And Poussin, a nymph, satyr, and a goat, precedes Picasso's painting and his model. O great teacher, mentor to Cézanne, he brought you inside and reconstructed the landscape. Philip Guston thrives in the midst of antiquity, boots and cans, rocks, Midas's perch. When the parachute hits the ground, you are a satyr, and you speak to young Bacchus, who is nurtured by Venus. O great teacher, you taught us independence consumes authority. Nijinsky, 1888-1950. By 1918, Nijinsky had become fascinated with circles and arcs. The circle is the complete, the perfect movement. Everything is based on it, life, art. Nijinsky was planning a Renaissance ballet with circular choreography, curved scenery, and a round presidium. This notation system was based in part on the circle, and his drawings, as he noted, often involved an eye shape formed by joining of two arcs. Nijinsky visualized a theater designed to imitate the curve of the eye. With obsessive consistency, Nijinsky composed circles and arcs. The arcs seem to form eyes, and Nijinsky says they do. I often draw one eye. Those eyes often look like fish, the sign of Christ. They also look like female genitals, the thing that, in his conversion to Tolstoyism, ideas he had rejected. Diane Arbus, 1923. I'm going back. 1923, 1971. Oranges, pottery, and architecture. She could have been a spy. She could have been a saint. She witnessed cruelty and wished more women ate oranges. The motive is slavery. She is married to a man she does not enjoy fucking. He is married to her because she'd been given to him. She could never remember his name, can never remember her name. He could never remember her name. They do not own a mirror. They do not know their children are desperate. At mealtime, no one says slavery has to be abolished. Eva Hess, 1936, 1970. All she had was a piece of string to dip into fiberglass, paint, dyed nets and paper mache, into another piece of string, tied to another piece of string, tied to another piece of string, tied to another piece of string. Pause. Paul Klee wouldn't believe his friends when they told him he had to leave Germany. He was a German. Eva Hess left Germany with her family when she was 3. At Yale, she studied with Joseph Albers. Albers had known Klee when they were both at the Bauhaus. Eva was told she would forget her parents, their divorce, her mother's suicide, the death of her father. Pause. All she had was a piece of string to dip into fiberglass, paint, dyed nets, and paper mache, into another piece of string, tied to 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 another piece of string. And the last one. Before Diane Arbus, before Virginia Woolf, before Philip Guston, before Jackson Pollock, before Pound broke off the engagement, before D.H. Lawrence grew a beard, before Ezra Pound left for Italy, before there was a war, before William Carlos Williams, before there was slavery, before there was a war, before the forgotten, before the dead, before there were bombs, before there was a war, before there was a war. Thank you.
Okay, you want to stand up and show people the other pictures?
Yeah, and I want to get that, the other,
What are you looking for? Here.
oh, you have it.
Now,
In back
if
of
you
me,
stand up
in back of me are 4 paintings.
and you walk a little away, not too far, because they won't hear you if you don't.
I didn't know you were related to Nijinsky.
Pardon?
Pardon me?
No, you related to Nijinsky?
But of course,
Of course.
if you can see the
No,
painting.
I don't see you can.
They can.
I'm looking there.
There
That's
it is, there it
Well,
is.
your paper's in the way.
All right,
That painting there
that's good.
is black 10. It's 24 by 30. The next painting, the big one, is black opal number 5.
Take your paper away.
Oh, it's
Because it keeps showing it, yeah.
And the next one is black 5. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's all made up of 5s. And the very last painting.
Well, hello, William Carlos Williams. Basil sees number 5.
Yeah. Okay. And the very last painting is black. Is circle. Is circle 5. No, that's circle 6. It's
Circle 6.
Circle 6. And that's the first one I painted this year. I'm working on the next one upstairs. But this is circle 6, 2021.
Okay,
Now it's Martha's go.
it's my go. Okay. Well then, I'm going to sit over here so I'm closer.
Great presentation, Baz, and
Thank you.
fantastic.
It was fun giving it.
It was
I know
beautiful.
many of those paintings, but it was great to see those new paintings.
They look really
He's
good.
been busy in 2020. Again, I think a lot of us have, the only thing we could do is do some work because everything else was closed. We couldn't go anywhere. We couldn't get drunk at a bar. I mean, you couldn't have a poetry reading in person. You couldn't go out to dinner. Oh my gosh, the list goes on and on. But we've done a lot of work, both of us. And all of those paintings, the circles and the oblongs and the ovals, they're all from 2020, except for the very last one, which is 2021. So
I've done about 40 of those.
he has about 40 of them in all, yeah. So I'm
All right,
going to very
Martha,
briefly
see you,
read,
Martha, now.
pardon?
You're on.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, because I'm going to read briefly from my memoir, Outside Inside, because we invited you to our house, and I thought I'd read from the section in the back, one of the chapters, which is called Home. Where is what makes you feel home? In 1961, we lived on Avenue D, all the way east on the Lower East Side. We had a home. In our mad rush to vacate Ferry Street and escape fines for living in an industrial loft. We managed rented squalor, a temporary device, a bed, a table, a floor, a room with electric lights, a building permeated by the stinks of poverty cooking, feral cats, dirty clothes, fear. It was home. Later that year, we moved into apartment number 81, 5759 2nd Avenue at 4th Street, on the 8th floor, with sun in the windows, and for it we purchased home things, a goldfish bowl, and a goldfish bowl, and a goldfish, a globe, a pretty yellow one, so old it showed Palestine British mandate, a dark maple wood rocking chair, a bridge lamp with a yellow shade. We painted the walls white and the floor a lovely maroon, and when we were finished, the roof leaked, and water softened the plaster all the way through the 9th floor above and down to our wall on the 8th, and the big round mirror we had acquired loosened and crashed into splinters. Why had we wanted it? It was a heavy, frameless circle of glass we bought in a junk store on Allen Street. Well, it had doubled the size of our living room. But after the crash, there were zillions of sharp glass shards and 7 years bad luck. Just 7? It is 2001. Baz and I are just back from 10 days in Rome. We've gone on holiday because we're homeless. We're out of the house in Brooklyn, where we have lived since 1969, because it's being renovated. Out of the house we often change by moving around inside it, first living on the top 3 floors, then on the bottom 2, then on all 4, and now we're changing everything again. We've thrown out old furniture. Many of our paperbacks had turned into orange dust over the years. We've packed up belongings till we're black and blue with it. Home. We're lightening up, I hope. I want to throw a whole lot of stuff away. Less stuff is my plan, just as it was when I left home in Chapel Hill, fleeing from stuff. I was 19 then. I wanted 2 plates, 2 cups. I wanted to be free of my mother's obsessions, the objects on which she pinned her identity. I wanted to be far away from my father's imperialism. Baz has the opposite feeling. His fractured wartime childhood and his parents' move to America caused the loss of so many possessions that he can hardly bear to part with anything unless it's clearly too broken or desiccated to ever use again. Despite my craving for domestic minimalism, it turns out I kept and kept and kept, not only mine but also my mother's stuff after she died. I even retrieved some of her stuff my siblings had discarded, so tell me about it. In 1969, we had a stash of lobster money. We had 2 children, and we needed to move. The equation was pretty stark. We could stay squeezed in on 2nd Avenue, fix the place up, and pay to send our kids to private schools. Or we could move to a neighborhood where public grammar schools were possible. The house we bought was just 4 blocks from Prospect Park, jewel of Brooklyn, and 3 blocks from an ordinary public school. It was on a street where kids played hopscotch and jacks on the sidewalk, and little girls sat on the stoops to dress their dolls. It was a house riddled with holes, broken walls, and 95-year-old plaster too brittle to repair. The entrance had a tin door in a front, stamped with a cocker spaniel. Ugh. And a block down on 5th Avenue was a dangerous park, littered with cracked vials and broken bottles. But we didn't need to go there. What we had was home. In 2001, we've selected a minimum of stuff to make do in a 3-room apartment on top of our daughter Mallory's house in Jersey City. At a table with 2 chairs barely fits into the kitchen. That's where we'll eat. A minimum of pots, pans, and dishes fit into the 2 built-in cabinets. Remember, 2 cups, 2 plates. A windowless middle room holds our 2 desks, 2 chairs, 2 computers. We fit in back to back, each facing a wall, and we mustn't both shove away from work at the same moment or we'll collide. Mallory and her husband Sansana are happy to have us, but a bit dismayed as we moved our stuff in and they grasped what we were actually doing. "Are you going to be okay, Dad?" Mallory asked, the worry in her hazel eyes shining through her glasses. In the front room, we've crammed Basil's easy chair, our big brass bed, a chest for our clothes with our TV perched on top, a bookcase with space for a CD player, and by the window, furthest from the radio, that's Basil's studio table. It's 4 feet by 3 feet, rather smaller than a cell. This space will be his art world, his medium, his only studio space from March to August 2001. And then we can go home. Is this like house arrest? What is home when it changes? To home is a verb. After my father died, my mother moved from their modest house in Chapel Hill to what was termed a deluxe apartment in a retirement center. It was an intense compression of her living space, although she had a bedroom, a living room with a wide picture window, a kitchenette, bathroom, and a luxurious walk-in closet and storage room. Once her apartment had a Once there, her apartment had the look and style quite like her old house. The furniture and pictures were familiar. Her old rugs were spread out, covering the standard issue beige wall to wall, and there were glass doors opening onto a common with a personal patch of concrete just outside the apartment's back door, where my mother could put some outdoor chairs and flower pots. Like our Jersey City apartment, it was functional and trapped. Perhaps it's the truncated pathways, how few steps it takes to go from one room to the other, how close our faces are over the small kitchen table. Baz and I have chosen books to support our work we hope to do while we're here, and we'll fight this feeling of being trapped. Our family, our daughter Mallory, her husband Sansana, and their little kid, our 2-year-old granddaughter, Satriana, they're just downstairs. How mean to complain of feeling trapped when I can see my daughter and granddaughter quietly blowing bubbles together in their brick-paved backyard, when we can share an evening meal with them. But first, before our exile kicked in seriously, Baz planned for us to go to Rome. After all the packing and preparation, all I wanted to do was sleep. I'm too done in for a trip, I wailed. Trust me, Baz said. Rome. We'll stay put there for 10 days. We won't go anywhere else, he promised. We're going home, I finally agreed. To Rome, the center civ of Western civ. He and I don't believe Greek propaganda because without the Romans, Greek art and ideas would be as dead as dust. Like any power, the Romans changed what they saved. And so we're going to Roman Rome, from which all of Europe was shaped. Home. 2 weeks later, we are home again, back in our own brass bed matrimonial, which had been uneasily transplanted to Jersey City. Baz will sit at that table and do a series of graphics, employing 3 different iconographies and many pieces of drawing paper. He will do an homage to Rimbaud, who has been with him most of his life. Rimbaud, who mastered classical forms and never abandoned them. Rimbaud, who blew French language apart to make room for the contradictions of modern times. There will be one set for Drunken Boat in ink washes, black and white. One set for illuminations in saturated stained glass colors from high-tech colored pictures and pencils, and turpentine. And one set for A Season in Hell in pastels and charcoals, grays and dirty pinks. He'll do almost 100 of them in all, in between trips back to Brooklyn to review what's happening at our house. Most of the time, he'll take the PATH train, cross the huge underground mall at the World Trade Center, hop the R train to Brooklyn. But once in a while, he'll walk down to the bottom of Liberty State Park, about 20 minutes from Mallory's house, and treat himself to the water taxi, a 5-minute ride over the river to North Cove, right under the World Trade Towers, under that iconic double-dash late capitalism shrine, huge, shining, minimalist, and blank. No wonder they don't like my paintings, Basil said to me on a bright summer day in late August 2001. This is their ideal, all surface, impervious, nothing comes out. I'm back at my job in Manhattan, 5 days a week, giving my weekdays a familiar pattern, and in early mornings or in the hours on the weekends, I keep working at becoming a prose stylist. I'm not an innovator. I write narratives. I practice no faith every day. I find it as hard to imagine going back to our home in Brooklyn, where everything is now new, as I do staying here, where my daughter and her family are at home, but we, loving them, nevertheless strain with the unreality of waiting to go home, where unreality awaits all of us. Our return takes place just 2 weeks before Tuesday, September 11, 2001. And that's Outside Inside, or some of it.
Hey.
No, I see a lot of people have left messages on the chat. And what do I do to know who, it
Well,
says
there's different
50.
messages. Um, I don't, I haven't seen, there's a lot of comments.
There's a question there from Mark, but before we go to it, I just wanted to, I mean, we kind of skipped over Martha's little, unless I wasn't paying attention, but Martha has about 6 books out, I believe
Mhm.
now. And
Maybe if you count everything, I think it might be 6.
yeah, again, they have a
But
wonderful.
most importantly, the last 2 years, I've been involved in writing murder mysteries. It's a lot of it's intriguing. It gets me into all kinds of strange places. And the newest one is Maxie's Yellow, which somebody was kind enough to show. Yep, there it is. It's just out. It's brand. A lot of things happened this year that seem to happen like dropping a rose down the Grand Canyon or something. It's or maybe I used to say that about publishing in the small press, but it seems even more so now. It's just, well, where did it go? Did anybody ever find it?
You had that nice foreshadowing there of becoming a prose stylist.
Oh,
And then
well, I was already doing it then, so
and
that
also
wasn't
just
actually
background,
foreshadowing. But
some of
novels, I never thought I'd write a novel until I wrote Maxie's Red.
well, and some of us might also remember that Martha ran the inimitable Giants Play Well in the Drizzle magazine,
I
and
did.
also co-hosted with Eleanor Now in the great Prose series.
And would we miss it so?
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was a great series.
and that was really
The place where we gave it was great. It was so accommodating and comfortable.
Sidewalk Cafe.
Sidewalk, yeah, that's gone too. I mean, that's why it's gone,
Yeah. Um,
there was a question by Mark. You have it, Sanjay?
no, I didn't know. That's why I was going to ask you, Jeff. What was the
Yes,
question? I didn't
it
see
was
that in the
about
chat. I'm scrolling.
it was about did the Black Mountain have any bearing on the Black Opal?
Did it? That's a question for you.
No,
Okay, there you go.
no. What
The-
made you think? Actually, that's interesting. What made you think of that?
no, that's Mark Lamoureux's question.
Oh, Mark Lamoureux's question. Well, Mark, it actually didn't. Though I think of it in terms of being meditative, but I don't think exactly Black Mountain wasn't exactly meditative.
No.
There was too much going on there all the damn time, you know,
I
and
mean,
everything was out in the open.
I was wondering about the physicality of the works because they seem to increase in physicality. They're very intangible in the sense of what you're putting down. They have missing parts of the faces and all. But there was that one that we had the shadow underneath of it and lots of marks, and it was rather colorful. And it just seemed like suddenly in that one, the intangible had taken on a super physical quality.
That's the last image, I think, or one of the last images.
It was one of the last images, yeah.
It looks like a brain MRI from 4,000 years from now.
Well, I wasn't thinking of any of those things.
But you really weren't thinking about anything. You just get into doing them.
I get into, well, I just go. I just, where it takes me. I think one of the things is, again, it's not like constructing a sentence.
Is this the one?
This is it, yes. This is it. And actually, a lot of these things shock me. Quite frankly, they shock me because I come downstairs and Martha says, "What's happening?" Well, I don't quite know. I will take a look before we go upstairs, before we turn on the TV or whatever. I'll show you what I'm doing. And I usually think sometimes they're done, sometimes they're not done. But I tell you, whilst I'm doing them, I really don't quite see them, if that makes any sense. I mean, I'm not just flying around, like without any thought, but I'm not seeing them that I'm constantly, it's got to go here, it's got to go there, it's got to do this.
If you look rather closely at that last one, the one you thought was like a brain MRI, it's got lots of layers and scratches in it. It's completely unlike any brain MRI I've ever seen.
That's why I said it could be some.
There are layers in it, and you go into it and you come out of it. And yes, it's very physical. It's more like a geological image than than a photograph of your brain by radio waves. It's quite different.
Like a nest for your brain. I think
Yes,
it's
well,
interesting
it
also.
could be a portrait of
Adjustment.
your brain. Absolutely.
It could also be a bird's nest.
Yeah.
Yeah, nest it looks like. And also it struck me that you tend to work in series and that the
Yes,
one, two,
I've
yeah,
always worked in series. There was the baseball series. There was the Nijinsky-Stravinsky series. There was,
the Green
I
Man.
did trees. I did a series of trees. Trees have always been very, very important to me because as a kid, I climbed all over them. You know, I used to have a wonderful time going up.
So
Yeah.
Martha, question for you. Could you talk about how the first Max books was written in the 70s and rediscovered, and perhaps the value of rediscovering and rejuvenating old works by those finding themselves overwhelmed by current events? It's
That's
from
a good question.
Very good question. Yeah, because I did. I wrote it originally in the oops, 1830s, excuse me, in the late 1930s, no, 19,
80s.
70s, 19,
It was
end of the
yeah,
70s.
we were here.
Yes, we were here. And at that point, I had some wonderful, hopeful idea that I could maybe support the family by writing genre fiction. And I wrote it, and I got an agent, and my agent sent it to about 25 different places and got lots of compliments about how beautifully written it was, but this wasn't a good time for, you know, the usual thing that they say. This isn't a good time for detective fiction, blah, 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 you know. And so I realized that I better get a job. And I put it in a drawer. And cleaning out a drawer later, the drawers later, much, much later, I pulled it out and I realized I was very fond of some of these characters. I like them. It's like throwing away your old paper dolls or something. I didn't want to do it. And yet it was, then I thought, you know, while it's been sitting in the closet, a curious thing has happened. It's become a period piece because by then it was, you know, it was it was 2018 or 19, and, you know, and I thought, well, this is a world that's almost disappeared, and people might be interested in it, and I might be interested in revitalizing it a little bit. So I did quite a lot of rewriting on it, but it's basically the plot's about the same as it was in when I first wrote it, but it sort of hibernated and matured into something else. And that is it's a good lesson about it's good to clean out your drawers, but be careful. You know, don't throw it all away. It might be something you really want.
Okay, so we have a question for Baz. This is from B Mills. I think you spoke of channeling certain artists. Could you say you had an artistic quote conversation with any in particular via, via
But
the evolution of your art?
but the point is, I don't talk to them. I mean, I don't think I sit down and have a drink with them or take a walk. I channel the work, their work, and their work tells me who they are. It's the reverse. You don't ask somebody about their work. You look at their. For me, anyway, I look at their work, and but that way I get to know them, and and I'm surprised because it was like when I was very very young, and I used to come up from Black Mountain and spend 3 months, 4 months up here. Sometimes I get a job, a dumb job, and I'd get one of those 16-month-old, pay $14, $16 a month in those days for a tenement place, and I'd hang out. I'd actually hang out. I'd do a little work, but I'd mostly hang out at the Cedars and go to people's studios. And there was a show of Clifford Still, and big show of Clifford Still, and I was sitting in the Cedars and I was telling Franz I couldn't see the day. I couldn't get it. I didn't understand it. What the hell was he up to? And he took me up there to the show and he talked, and I still didn't see it. So that was that. Go about 45 years later. I'm walking through the Met, and I passed that beautiful piece of David Smith's, you know, and on the right side there was a room full of of Clifford Still, and I poked my head in. I sat down, and I said, "Holy crap! Christ, what the hell have I been? I missed it all those years. I'd really missed it all those years. I've done that with a number of paintings, a number of paintings. It was like the first time I saw Jim Rosenquist's uh, um, paintings. It just befuddled me. They totally befuddled me. I didn't pretend to know them. I didn't pretend to understand them. But years later, I began to appreciate the fact of what he was doing. But he and I got very friendly for a number of years.
Even though he didn't like your work and you didn't like
Like
his.
and we didn't like each other's work. No, we didn't. In fact, one time the four of us, that was when he was married to Mary Lou, we took their Volkswagen and went down to Pittsburgh to see the what the hell's
It was
the
a big
show?
international
The big
show there. I forget
international
what it
show.
was.
And the two of us left the ladies, and we were walking around, and we both came into this room, and we saw this little tiny painting, no shit, across the room, and both of us didn't say a word and went to it. And who was it? God damn it! It was Picasso. In that whole room, that little painting, just ping, it came right at you, you know. But I've never channeled Picasso. There's something about him that, in a strange way, his whole attitude about manufacturing these paintings. He's the first of the beginning of the 20th of that century, the end of the 19th, where everything became available, so that you could make a collage, that you could do that. And he picked up on something very vital, but it's never meant very much to me, that he just manufactured. He'd walk in, spend an hour and a half on a painting, and 2 hours another one, and another one, and another one, and another one. You know, 5, 6 a day.
He really lived what Andy Warhol claimed. He was a machine.
Yes, yes. He became a machine. His vases, his pottery is the same thing. It's the same thing. He turned himself into this thing. And of course, as one of his great granddaughters said, he's left us enough for us to have 40 generations to go without having to worry about money.
I think she's exaggerating.
I don't think so either.
40?
No,
Rome
no.
didn't last that long.
Well, but so she's exaggerating. But the point is that the whole family, that's another thing about him that really is interesting. His sister's children and everything, every one of the children that he had by other people, other women, besides the ones he was married to, the few of them, he left them an income. He left every woman he painted an income. He bought them houses. I mean, there's something there about the whole thing about what actually capitalism really is.
Baz, because of time, we have just a couple more. So this is from Bonnie Finberg. It seems you and Philip Guston, moved on from abstract expressionism around the same time. Were you in conversation with him at that time?
Yes. Yes, but it was very strange because I saw his paintings and then I showed him a couple of mine, and mine were coming from a very, very, very different direction. He was involved with the Klan. I was involved with my childhood.
He wanted us to come up to visit him when
Oh,
he was,
God, yeah.
and I don't know what was wrong. We didn't, either our car was incapacitated, or we were between cars, or somehow
That was
we never did it, and I'm
No, that was at
heartbroken.
the end.
That's
But-
what I mean. It was toward the
Yeah, but at the very end. But at the beginning, when he was still in New York,
Yeah.
and I was here, I'd go see him and I'd talk to him, and we had something. We had a lot to talk about. We had an awful lot to talk about. The whole idea of how to be a modern Jew, and how to deal with it. And he loved Spinoza as I did, and he loved Rimbaud. One time I went over there and he was sick, and I made some tea. He was in bed, and he said, I read him Rimbaud, but not in French. You know, but the point was, no, he was very important. He was very, very important. And it was very strange because it's true. My paintings started those early things that I did in the late 60s, the very late 60s. He was doing the same turning. He was doing exactly the same turning. And he got, unfortunately, the same result at the beginning as I did. You're crazy.
Literally.
I mean, seriously,
he was
you're
denounced.
crazy. He was. His oldest friends were denouncing him. The one person that didn't denounce him, good, thank you, was de Kooning.
Yeah.
But a lot of the painters denounced
That
him.
was the show at the Marlborough Gallery, right? I think.
No, David
The new
McKee.
paintings and de Kooning was there.
That was at the Marlborough.
The Marlborough Gallery, right?
No, not the Marlborough. I mean, David McKee.
Okay. Baz, another question. How has COVID in the current politics, this is from Cheryl Fish, how has COVID in the current politics influenced your painting process, if at all?
No.
Oh, yes, it has.
What?
You told me so much that the
What?
reason you started the black paintings was you needed something you could
Oh,
contemplate.
but
Everything was
shh.
so ugly.
But that's yes, but that's. I don't think that it's not the same thing. It's not exactly the same thing. I wanted to something where I could where I could contemplate.
You don't think it had anything to do with the shutdowns and the loss and everybody
Shh, why are
having
you
to go,
shouting at me?
everybody having to go home,
I don't think so.
sit home?
I know.
Hmm.
I had come to a point where I wanted something else. I really did. I don't think that influenced me at all. Yes, I was aware of it.
You think it would have happened anyway,
I think it would have happened
even
anyway.
if we had normal life.
If yeah, and if Trump hadn't got in, Trump hadn't got in, or this one hadn't got in, I don't think so. I was ready for a change. And
Okay.
it wasn't back then where it was in the 60s where I didn't have anything. I knew I had something to go back to, something to go forward with, and I used it. But on the other hand, no, I don't think that way. I really don't think that way.
I stand corrected, as I often do.
There's a couple of comments. These aren't so much questions, but they're great. John Godfrey, just about the best Zoom I have yet seen. And Jeff Wright, yes, what a treasure trove today.
Well, John's a great man.
And then John Trouse, I think John J. Trouse may have something here that's very important, and we need an agent for you. Martha and Basil should have their own TV show, streaming or broadcast. I mean, maybe you could compete against whatever Trump's new network's going to do.
We're willing.
We're willing. We're absolutely willing.
No, but this was a special event. It was great. I mean, we've recorded it as we've recorded the other ones. They're sitting in a big pile. They have to be.
Oh, wow. Well, we'd like to have it because there's people in England that would like to have it.
Yeah, no, we'll
They
send
couldn't
it.
come up
So,
today.
It's going to be 3 in the morning or something.
They just couldn't do it.
Whatever.
They couldn't do it.
so in conclusion, Jeff, did you want to announce we have for our reading for next month coming? Oh, well, let me unmute you. I'm sorry, Jeff. Hold on. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's probably good to unmute me.
Sorry.
You're going to read?
He's unmuted.
We've got some people we were hoping to get. We've got for the next year. Of course, we'd love to have everybody, but we've been talking about Lydia, Marat, Kyle Harvey, and Quincy Troop, and Chris Kraus, right off the top list. And it's great to see everybody again today. Some other people for shout outs. It's like Romper Room, Don Yorty, I see you, and Lydia, I see you, Karen Newberg, David LaBarca. Drew, the last time I saw Drew was at the last LK reading. It's been going on a year now. That'll be fun. Seth, the homemade moonshine man, Bob Heeman. It's great to see everybody so much.
Anything regarding Live Mag that you wanted to say?
Yeah, Live Mag. We hit a little snag. It's all finished. It's up online. Thank you, Kenny Davis, and a lot of good people here in it. Andre's in it, and we hit the snag because we were trying to get a ISBN number, and we stumbled into what we really need is an ISSN number from the Library of Congress. So we're getting that, and we'll have it out in color in probably about a month. And in February, we'll have a secondary. Thanks for asking.
Okay. And then again, just a reminder, this is Local Knowledge issue number 8. This is artwork by Steve Miller and the back as well. I just received the boxes and I can't fucking wait to get this out.
What? Excuse me? What are you imitating Baz now? Holy crap.
Just to say some of the contributors, we have a portfolio of Steve Dalachinsky's work, as I mentioned, with Yuko Otomo reading with an introduction, Steve Dalachinsky's poems. We have work in images from Peter Valente. We have Barat Namitnejad with some poems, a portfolio of great work. We have a remembrance of Jonas Makis with Hollis Melton, Bradley Eros, Robert Kelly. I want to thank Veet Bakaitis. I think he was on the line before. Veet was
Yeah.
instrumental in getting, it would not have been possible without Veet's involvement in getting this remembrance of Jonas together. Kimberly Lyons too has work.
Hey, Pete and Kimberly.
Norman McAfee, Jonas Makis has work in here too. We've got Ron Colm, Martha King, of course, we mentioned earlier, Eleanor Noen, James Ruggia, Steve Levine, Charles Borkus, Amy Barone, Joel Allegretti. We've got artwork. We've got a photographer from Sally Davies, Mark Weber, Steve Miller, I mentioned, Francine Fleischer. I mean, it's jam-packed. It's going to be coming out soon. We're just redoing the website so that it'll be easier to purchase the magazine, because we're not going to be able to do a live event. As many of you know and familiar with local knowledge, we usually have an event at Howell Gallery. So of course we're not going to be able to do that, but we are going to do we're going to do several events. We're going to make the most of this online situation. We're going to have an event with in the works with Peter Valente and Murat Namitnejad. Jeff and I will host these events. We'll have a party. We'll have the artists. We'll be doing more slide presentations. We are about a centimeter away from getting nonprofit status for the magazine, which will allow us to do fundraisers and start also publishing books. That's been a long time in the process, but 2021 looks optimistic for us, and we're really, this is a killer issue. So more will be revealed around when we're going to be getting this out. So, but this is, this is the community, and I'm just really happy to see all these new faces and familiar faces today. Today was a hell of an event. So I just want to thank everybody, and I'm going to set it up. I think everybody's been well behaved. I'm going to just open it up and allow people who want to unmute themselves that they can unmute themselves.
God bless you, Sanjay, and long live Martha and Basil.
Martha and Basil, thank you so
Hey,
much.
we can speak again.
Okay.
It was a great event. Yes. So
Looking lovely.
thanks everybody for coming on.
Thanks.
Barbara Henning, a shout out. I think we got left her out before.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Martha.
Hey, Barbara.
Hi, Barbara.
Thank you so much, Martha. Nice to see you.
Oh my God, Bunny.
Good to see you.
All right.
It's been
Lovely
nice.
to see you. Hope to see you soon in person.
Lori, tell the truth. What time is it where you are?
John Trouse.
Oh, no, I was trying to get Laurie Duggan. I see his picture there, but I don't know. He's all the way in Australia, so I'm shocked. Laurie?
I just wanted to say, Baz, to reassure you and to Martha, the colors were for me, for us anyway, were quite visible on those paintings. The sort of auras around the corona, those were very scintillating, very visible, very vivid. Thank you so much, both of you. Fantastic.
Well, thank you.
Kim,
Baz.
Hey, you're looking good.
Baz, I didn't ask earlier
Happy
in
birthday.
chat,
What,
but I was wondering, what do you have any? Did you know and work with at all Howard Hodgkin?
No.
No, because there is some similarity I see.
Oh, really?
Raul de Kaiser.
I've seen that too. I agree.
But who agrees? Kimberly?
Kimberly Lyons.
Yes.
He left England when he was only 11, so he really...
Yeah, no, I figured that might be the
Wouldn't have
case. I
met
didn't know
me.
whether Hodgkin really spent much time in the U.S., so I don't think he did.
No, I don't think so.
But
He
Baz,
passed through.
he did speak to that sense of being kind of part of a constellation of North Atlantic art, you know. I think there's other British art.
His name,
Mid-Atlantic.
no, yes, but
Mid-Atlantic, you've said.
Tarn.
Nathaniel
No,
Tarn likes that.
Nathaniel Tarn and I talk about being in the Mid-Atlantic.
Being Mid-Atlantic.
Be Mid-Atlantic.
Hello, everyone. I've been unmuted.
Oh, yeah.
Hey!
Hey!
Hey, it's daylight here. It's just after 7 in the morning.
Well, that's not bad.
Yeah, it's
I
not
mean, he's
bad.
been up since 5:30.
And it's summer.
Yeah.
It's summer down here.
Wow,
And it's
That's
tomorrow.
that's lovely.
That's great.
Who else do we see? Hi, everybody. Hi, Divya.
Hi, Martha. How are
Betty.
you? And Basil,
Hello,
good to
cousin.
see you.
Oh, you got some spectacular spectacles. Wow.
What
You
about,
guys
I
look
mentioned-
great. And also, this bottle has been waiting for you for all these years. Look, really, too. Nobody
A
takes
not so
care of
subtle
it,
hint to get our arses up to your place.
I guess.
artist,
Tim and Mimi.
another artist.
Yes,
that brought up-
Martha. We've got here also Cuba and Bo.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Which Bo, where are you?
Bo.
Oh, where are you?
Oh, where are
There
you?
you-
Here you are.
Oh my God, Bo, you look like your father. I haven't seen you since you were grown up.
Heard that before.
Hello.
Great to see
Well,
How
that's
wonderful to
so
see
much
you
for
all.
doing
That's fantastic.
Come visit.
Yeah, sure.
Well, someday it'll be safe to ride a subway again. Isn't there a subway between us and Puddleville?
Also,
Wow.
what about this
Fantastic.
artist? What about Jake Berteau? Didn't he also show at David McKee? And he had those just round blank heads. Jake Berteau.
Do you know him? I don't think so.
Anybody know him? Jake Berteau's work? I think
No.
he showed at David McKee also. He just did a lot of sort of blank heads, ovals, with
I
some
don't
out-
remember that.
Anyway,
It's been, you can't remember everything.
You can't? Come on.
That's
All right, if
good.
anybody, if that's it, we'll, if anybody has any more questions, now's the time. If not, we'll
Reluctantly close
wrap
off.
this up.
We've run 20 minutes over time.
Yeah, it was great. That was great to do.
Anyway, thank you all.
Thank you all so
Thank you
much.
all.
It
Thanks,
was really
everybody.
great to have you all here. Uh,
See everybody.
Great.
Good to
Yeah.
see you, Baz and Martha from Boone.
okay.
Hey, baby.
And Alan Kaufman. Yay,
Hi,
Alan.
Alan. I saw Ron before.
And Lydia, we said hi.
Yeah, it's great to see everybody.
Very good.
Stay safe, everyone.
Cheers.
Bye.
Yeah, be well, everybody. Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye, Marat.
Bye.
Bye.
My
Goodbye.
God.
Goodbye.
Bye.
80.
Goodbye.
I can't, I have a hard time ending these. It's like I have all the power to hit end and I don't want to. I better do it. I'll see you soon.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Don't anybody stay safe. Stay safe. I'm so sick of that.
I said it, sorry.
I know.
Bye-bye, everybody.